cheers to another episode of the Wine Notes podcast. I'm your guide, AJ Winezettel, on this journey of stories showcasing the people behind the wonderful world of wine, where we dive into conversations ranging from terroir, viticulture, to favorite music, superpowers, and more. Please enjoy this episode of the Wine Notes podcast. Philippe, thank you so much for coming out today, for being on the podcast. You have a busy weekend ahead of you. I can't thank you enough for making the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks again for reaching out. Super excited to be back in town.
Yeah. When it was announced last year that you're being one of the MC for IPNC, I started diving into your story, and it's been amazing. Like your journey that I've learned about over the last year, and it's just like I'm still like in awe that you're here. So it's.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think I've been pretty spoiled over the last year or so, but I think what I reflect on is the last 15, almost 20 years that I put into my professional career to get me where I am here now. And so trust me when I tell you that it definitely tastes sweet, but I think the affirmation of all the hard work that I put in has been truly the best gift of my last year and going forward.
Yeah, well, most definitely. Shall I pour some wines?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay.
First wine off the plane, by the way. So straight from the PDX carpet to the Mac, or what I like to call a McSinville.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it stands up, and you enjoy it. But feel free to, say whatever you want to about it. You don't have to guess it. You don't have to do, anything. It's just to sit and enjoy. And normally, wine is this is the forefront. Mm-hmm. But in my conversations, I like wine to be kind of on the back burner a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you. A lot of apples, fresh. I mean, yellow apple, kind of powdery apple vibe. Some yogurt for sure, a little caramel, but it's very fresh and it feels young, crisp. Yeah, it's nice for a little breakfast.
Yes.
Okay, now we're getting bruised apple, red apple, apple pie for sure, cinnamon. Rounder. I'm going to say that both of these are bubbles. The second one's definitely more my speed.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I had to bring bubbles. I mean, if I brought anything other than bubbles, that would be...
hey, man.
That would be wrong.
People ask me all the time, how do you drink bubbles all the time? It's really simple. You start in the morning.
Exactly. One of the stories that really grabbed me immediately was... it was 2013. You were doing harvest at Maysara. Mm-hmm. And Jason Lett came up to you, and he said, those are honest hands. Yeah. Now we can go have a taco and a beer. Yeah. I can only imagine kind of what that felt like for you as you had, one of the wine pioneers here in Oregon kind of.
Yeah, that was a really special moment. I mean, I don't know how many times Jason has grabbed people's hands and checked them to make sure that they did some actually work during harvest. I think he was just making sure that, I'm having the full experience. And Jason and I think everyone kind of has a unique relationship with Jason. I mean, the family's history and the wines are compelling alone, but Jason has been a very great supporter and very accessible person to me, and as I'm sure many other folks out there around the wine world. But when I came out to Oregon in 2013 for Pinot Camp, I actually didn't realize that I had like a sponsor to get me out. So Pinot Camp is basically like a 3-day crash course for wine professionals and sommeliers that come in from all over the U.S. and the world to experience kind of like a crash course in the Willamette Valley. And I didn't realize that each person gets heavily vetted and invited by being nominated by a winery. I didn't realize until well after Pinot camp that Jason actually nominated me, and I had no idea. I'd never met him before, so I was shocked by that. But I immediately sent him a thank you because I was like, oh my God, okay, well, now I got to buy some of your wine. But thankfully, we've already been buying his wines for quite some time. But that's the type of person that Jason is, and I think in many ways he's just like the cool kind of composed, but also very accessible, and you could tell that his time becomes very generous. And at the time in my professional career, in my life, I was very curious about, what to do, what I wanted professionally out of wine or out of a career. And it was folks like Jason and many others here in the Valley that inspired me to keep searching for something more, and more importantly, the thing that really compelled me. And so that year was a very wild and chaotic harvest with the weather and also just my life. But it left an imprint on me that I carry with me forever. And I mean, the Willamette Valley in Oregon will always have an incredible, incredible special place in my heart because of that experience.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And Oregon is just a special place. Just
yes.
In general.
Y'all are weird. I love it.
So are you going to start Champagne Camp?
I would love to. It's a little more expensive to do something like that.
Right.
But I've always dreamed of creating a way to make Champagne more accessible, especially for folks like myself with backgrounds of maybe less travel or less accessibility to library or luxury wines. So, Pinot Camp was definitely an inspiration to me. I hope in one day that I can be in a place where I can make a decision to get a group of, like-minded wineries or even, very different wineries together to rally around the region. I think that's something that Champagne does really well. I think in terms of bringing quality and being respectful of their neighbors, I think it's just the sheer logistics of trying to get folks over there can be challenging. And then you say, okay, well, who's paying for all this stuff? And it's hard to ask mom and pops to, to pay dollar for dollar with some of the more established commercial properties. So one day I would love to do that. I mean, even on a smaller scale, I've talked with quite a few folks about, need to get you to Champagne so you can understand it a little bit more, but also to have that feather in your cap. There's so many somms out there that I think absolutely adore Champagne and have never been. And I mean, I'm sitting here right now and I think I'd probably drink more Burgundy and have drank more Burgundy than a lot of people in their lifetimes. I have never been to Burgundy. And people ask me, say, how the hell is that possible? Well, no one ever offered to fly me out. And, I'm basically buying Burgundy on a budget, rubbing two nickels together. And so, I've never sold Burgundy really. So it's never really been a focus of mine to travel out there. But I am looking for a sponsor to take me out. And I will trade for bubbles. But I know one day I'll be able to make it out there. But I know how empowering it is for professionals to be able to walk in the vineyard and to be able to say, oh, yeah, I tasted this with so-and-so. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I told people about I drink Chehalem Ridgecrest in Ridgecrest with Harry. And I was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And now obviously time has shown it that, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I think those are experiences that, I hope that I can open and offer to folks, young folks coming up, or just passionate individuals in the future, because I know how important it was to me to have those experiences here.
Yeah, no, it's something else to walk that, especially Ridgecrest, to walk those 30-plus-year-old vines. I think they're 30 years old now. Yeah, and it's just amazing, and just the history behind everything up there, and when taking over the realm or the helms, and just it is so exciting when you get those connections. Mm-hmm. It means so much more when you actually consume the wine.
Yeah. I've got a lot of stories of this valley for sure. I don't know if we need to, maybe omit a few of them, but I can't preach enough about how accessible the properties have all been to me. So I came out to Pinot Camp, and Pinot Camp is, like I said, I think 3 days. And I ended up spending 3 weeks. And it was hilarious because I basically got everybody's numbers at Pinot Camp. And I just drove around the valley saying hello to people and, texting them saying, hey, can we taste? Can we taste? And people are like, yo, you're still here? I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. But that was an incredible experience because, again, people opened the doors to me when they absolutely didn't have to. And I've been in other wine regions that are a little more, I think, structured, I guess I could say, or maybe a little more strict about visits. And I just loved how everybody was such an open book here. I just felt like, there's nothing to hide, but more importantly, it's just everything to show. Yeah. And as a wine professional wanting to learn everything and just wanted to consume information, it was at my fingertips. The people were real, they were honest and genuine. And that compelled me. And I mean, I think the wines also spoke to me too, which was another huge plus. I absolutely adore white wine. So coming here for Pinot Camp and then tasting Chardonnay, Grieg, everything you could ever imagine. I tried it all, and I was just completely enamored and blown away by the quality level of the wines across the board that I never got in Chicago. I had to come out here to find them, and then I had to beg my distributors to bring them to Chicago, which I felt very proud of course.
Of course. Yes. In 2018, you met with Charles Heidsieck to become ambassador. Mm-hmm. And, you told him right up front, I'm going to be really honest. This is who I am. Go look at my Instagram account. And if you don't like it, this isn't a good fit. So, just let everybody know, what was their response? And then, how did their response, how did that feel to you? Well,
it was a very vulnerable position to be in, but I was very calculative in that I'd been in a professional experience before there where I felt like I kept getting censored or I kept being told to follow the script. And I can't remember tasting a wine that blew me away, that followed the script. And I just felt like wine is so organic that, representing wineries or business can also be organic and very genuine and honest. And I just felt like there was times where I'd learned quite a bit about the business side, which, I think is pretty straightforward, but how to connect with an audience is something that I wanted to be a lot more in control of and to have a greater impact. And I felt like by reading from a script or being censored would only limit my opportunity to connect with, anyone, frankly.
Right, exactly.
And being a person of color, also been in experiences where that came into a factor where I was, passed over for a job because I didn't look the way that they wanted me to look, or I didn't look like them. So they decided to go with someone that did look like them. And, it's heartbreaking to be told that you're not good enough because you don't look like the winemaker or the owner of the winery or, whoever's in charge of the sales team here in the U.S. So, at that point, I was just kind of like, I don't really give a shit anymore. If y'all want me, this is what it's going to look like. And, I think, my resume speaks for itself, but I had to be very clear about not getting hurt again professionally.
Right.
I did not want to put myself in that position where I was going to put my heart and soul into a business and then later to find out that I had a glass ceiling or my success was going to be capped or it was going to be, the carpet was going to be pulled out from under me for some reason or another. The wine industry, just like any other industry, is very competitive. And I feel like I choose to be here. It's the amazing thing about our wine industry is a lot of folks choose to be in the wine industry. But unfortunately, there is always going to be, gatekeepers. And if those gatekeepers are from a different background or from a generation that doesn't understand being different or differences rather, it definitely can be heartbreaking. I've seen many opportunities where I was like, wow, I will light it up for this brand or I will light it up. But then to be told, this isn't the right fit. So yeah, basically long story short, this was before COVID. So I had a lot of Zoom meetings that was kind of brand new. And I was like, look, You guys are seeing me. You've seen my resume. You see me. You obviously please go to my Instagram. I'm very active on it, but I'm also very proud of how I represent, I think, myself on social media. One of the greatest compliments that I get quite frequently is people tell me I'm just like how I am on Instagram. And I'm like, yes, okay, good. Because I'm not trying to be somebody else or a caricature of myself on Instagram. I'm just trying to show you the pure joy I have for our industry and for the people that I love to celebrate. And I hope that joy can inspire others to either pass it on or find a little bit of that when they're going through a difficult situation. And so for me, it was kind of Instagram is my digital resume.
Right.
I can tell you who I work for. I can tell you what wines I've drank. I can tell you what I've sold. But, if you don't like the way that I'm carrying myself on Instagram, then this is never going to work.
Exactly.
Plain as day.
Right.
It's really simple.
And it's today, right? Everything is so digital, and it's a lot of people. They're like, oh, you got to be careful what you post on Instagram. You got to, don't go off the walls, because it shows who you are, and people these days will, obviously, Google you and all that good fun stuff. So I mean, it's amazing how you get to a certain point in life, and you're like, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, I don't care. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I think it's sad to reflect on it in this way, but I just been hurt a couple times professionally in a place where I never would have thought it happened.
Right.
And I just don't wish that for anyone ever again. And I don't ever want to feel that ever again. So maybe I have to put up a guard, but instead my guard was just to be very brutally honest. And look, if you guys don't like this, it's okay. Just tell me. Don't tell me 6 months later when, you gave me this opportunity and you're just like, okay, this isn't working out. So I guess that never happened. And that's the beauty of my situation with the team at Charles and the team at EPI. I mean, there were many instances, and I moved to New York. It was crazy. My wife was in Chicago and potentially, coming to New York, and, it was a lot of uncertainty. But I knew that if I showed them who I was,
right,
and if I led with my heart, I knew that the success would be there. And I bet on myself. I think I actually lost money my first year on the job because I was spending so much money, kind of just to be in New York and to have the experiences that I wanted to have and really soak in the opportunity. But for me, it was the most incredible investment I could have had. I invested in myself professionally, and I gave myself a chance to go on the grand stage and prove it. And for me, it was so important because the wines, I think, believed they deserved it. Right. I tasted those wines, and I was just like, how come nobody knows what I know right now?
Right.
And so I was like, I'm willing to invest in this opportunity, but more importantly, I hope that they want me. And from day one, they did, and constantly, communicated that in many ways. And so, it was a dream come true. And I would wake up and pinch myself. I can't believe I'm here right now. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Right. And they not only wanted you, they were like, I think you went to them and you were like, how do you want me to represent? Yeah. And they're like, no, you tell us how to do it. Yeah. And I mean, I can only imagine how you felt after that meeting. But was there somebody did you call your wife or your mom or something to be like, holy cow, this just happened?
I can't remember exactly after that meeting. So I'm a crier, full disclosure. I was so taken aback by that I was just like, just soaking in the emotions because again, I'd been in a place for a couple of years before that where I was really questioning if I should stay in the wine business. And I was questioning my talent, questioning, the decisions I made professionally before. And here I have, this historic property that's, wants me, and then also is now telling me to go and just go out there and crush it. We believe in you.
Right.
So different than any other professional experience I've had before in the wine world. And so, I basically, took everything I'd learned up to that point and I just cranked it up, volume up, man. And I was just like, okay, we're gonna show them what they got. I just felt like every single opportunity I had to show up for the winery and show them why they invested in an employee like me, I had to prove to them 10 times.
Right.
And we did.
And that's awesome. And so I just finished reading a book called Champagne Charlie.
Okay, yeah.
And this sounds probably off the wall, far-fetched a little bit to you, but to me, reading the book, this does not sound far-fetched at all. So Charles Camille's father, Charles-Henri, was, at one point he got a big white stallion with a bunch of bottles of champagne during, when Napoleon was fighting Russia, and showed up in Russia with all this champagne and was like, I'm going to, make a stand. I'm going to stand out. I'm going to get, the word out about Charles Heidsieck.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that, and I see your vibrance, and I see how you, are different and stand out. And I'm like, you perfectly fit into the story of Charles Heidsieck.
I appreciate that. It's crazy to even think that is even possible. You think about history and lore, and you're like, I'm a history buff, so I'm fascinated with that stuff, and you forget that we have an opportunity to write our own history in many ways, and you never really think that you're making a difference until you actually have. And so it's special to think about that. I'm not really the type of person to say yes, but I'm sure there's a lot of folks that if they were in the room right now, they'd be like, dude, you are Champagne Charlie. But I just, I truly believe in the quality of the wines that our team puts out, but also I just believe in the spirit and the energy that our community has. And I try to really bring it out. One thing I was just thinking about, I've heard that story you mentioned obviously many times, and we talk about it at the winery. And so I actually have a white horse now thinking about this. So I own a white horse. And so, in many ways you do need to stand out. You need to find your own white horse, I guess. And,
right.
and I hope that, whatever I do inspires others to find their own way, their own path to connecting with either their community or their customers or, whatever they're doing professionally. I think I may be taking risks in different places than they would or could, but I hope it inspires others to be honest about what, they believe in and get to work, and you bust your ass and great things can happen.
Right.
It won't always happen, but I think there's no fast forward button to success.
There is.
And the reflection on it makes me very proud.
Yeah. No. Well, that deserves a cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. No. Thank you. As I was reading Champagne Charlie, so that in 1852, Charles Heidsieck was shipping 25,000 cases of wine to the U.S.
Yeah.
And I look at Oregon and a majority of the producers are, under 10,000 cases a year. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, holy cow, that just boggles my mind that much champagne was getting shipped in the mid 1850s.
I would say the follow-up question would be how much of it was actually paid for.
Well,
that's the other, without, risk, there's no reward. But
right.
I hope folks will read the book or watch the movie. Have you seen the movie on YouTube with Hugh Grant?
I tried to watch it, but I watched it after reading the book.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it just doesn't compare.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, to be honest, I think just to give the people the abridged version, Charles sent a lot of wine to the U.S. and didn't get paid for any of it. So,
right, exactly.
You know,
and
like that's, it's a huge risk. And he borrowed money from his family, from a lot of other, close friends, and to start off his winery. And of course, he had a great vision and dream, and, he got it done, right? Paid everybody back, but it took, some time.
It took a lot of time. And, you can't leave out the fact that, during the Civil War, he traveled down south to try to get his money and got caught up in the wrong spot at the wrong place. And got freaking arrested and was in jail for
I'm
years.
from Chicago, so I always like to joke that, like, it's really easy for folks that are out of towners to, like, get caught up in, like, the East Coast, West Coast thing, But basically, Charles went to New Orleans, and as a first-time visitor in New Orleans, you probably pretty much kind of always have to get arrested at some point. So, there's very few rules in New Orleans, but there's a couple. But I'll leave it at that. But again, part of the drama, and part of the legend that is Champagne Charlie.
Yeah. And that provides a great segue into the release of Champagne Charlie this year.
Yeah.
Right? So vintages in 79, 81, 82, 83, 85, and now 2022.
Yes. So this year's release is, now that we can fully disclose, it's not a vintage. What's really fascinating is the previous vintages of Charles or Charlie, we found out were actually technically never vintage wines. They always had a base vintage with reserve wines. Yet, in order to market it better back then, they put a vintage date on it because it was a truly special wine. It's a legendary wine. When you try 81, 83, 85, 82 out of Mag, those are unique experiences that, people still text me or send me a note and they're like, dude, why is this still so good? Or what is going on with this? And it's like, this is because we had a very simple thing. We had incredible access to grapes, which we still do. And we had a legendary winemaker. You put those two together and fireworks are going to happen.
Right.
So we were able to look at, the previous Charlie wines that were made. And our chef de cave, Cyril, dove into the archives and really wanted to recreate Charlie in the most responsible and thoughtful way to kind of celebrate Daniel Thibault, our previous chef de cave, who made those wines. It's just the most authentic way to re-release a Charlie. Yeah. And so essentially, with that being said, we found out that those previous vintages were multi-vintage wines. So with the laws back then, they were a little more murky. Now we want to be a little more transparent. So there is a base vintage. There is a lot of reserve wine. It's like the opposite of any non-vintage wine. Right. It's like, reserve wine with a little bit of base wine, and I believe this release goes all the way back to 1995 is the oldest wine in the bottle. Dang. So you've got, 27 years in the making in the bottle.
That's crazy.
That's kind of what we do. We love to play with time. We're patient AF, and we're also crazy AF. So come for us. What's up?
Yeah. Just Oregon sparkling right now is just kind of getting its grasp and everything. Yeah. And some wineries are starting to play with some reserve wine a little, maybe one or two. And it was just announced this week that one of the 100% sparkling houses, Corollary, they just bought a 57-acre plot that is going to be dedicated completely to sparkling. Wow. And it's just fascinating to see what Oregon is going to come out with in those terms.
I agree. I mean, my first time out here in 2013, I had two agendas to be out here. I had to taste every white wine I possibly could and taste every sparkling wine I could. 9 years ago, there were a few far less sparkling wines available to me, but it solidified that they were on their way. And as I've seen over the last couple of years, or I would say over the last 9 years, the consumer demand plus I think the curiosity of the winemakers here have been like, we should do a sparkler for the beginning of our dinners. And it's like, then they make it and they're like, oh, hell no, we're not doing this shit ever again. So, for folks that don't know what it takes to make sparkling wine, let me tell you, it is a challenge. And think about the space requirements, the labor.
Right.
There are some tax requirements in the U.S. that they heavily tax sparkling wine per liter versus still wine. It's not that crazy, but it's still just, that's difficult to compete. When you have a domestic sparkling wine that ends up on the shelf for $60 to $80, I know that that's not easy to do. You look at these extended triage wines, these long aging on lees bottles, and I respect the hell out of it because it's like, these bottles take up space in the cellar for 5-6 years.
Right.
That costs money, to store it temp controlled in the bottle and all the R&D, all this tasting, all this stuff. The stuff that Nate's doing at Argyle, I'm just like, every time I've been there, I'm just like, wow, they're doing it the right way, in terms of putting the effort in. Right. And when I taste domestic sparkling wines, I'm always like, you guys put heart and soul into this.
Of course.
Because you cannot make sparkling wine without some love. So, I can sit up here and say, oh yeah, we've got reserve wine that's 25 years old. But that's the oddity of Charles, is that we're one of the few properties in the world that is crazy enough to hold on to reserve wines for 25 years before they go in the bottle. I mean, it's just stupid. But I've always adored sparkling wine, regardless of where it comes from. And my time out here in 2013, tasting the sparkling wines, it's magical because I knew we had something special. Right. I've been on, gone on to continue to taste everything I possibly could from the U.S. and just anything with bubbles, But Oregon sparkling has always been a nice, reminder, I think, that it can be done outside of Champagne. And you've got some really incredible new places that we're seeing bubbles from, England, Tasmania, are two of those ones that, if folks have never tried those wines, let's go. Let's check them out.
Yeah.
The two wines you blinded on me here, one is clearly very different than the other. And, the second wine, the only way to make this wine is love. You cannot rush this. So I get that. That's a flavor profile, and it speaks to my heart when I try wines like that because I know that it's not easy to do.
Yeah, no, it is. It is absolutely amazing.
I'm looking forward to tasting some bubbles this weekend. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah,
we got plenty on the docket.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for this weekend either.
Yeah,
it'll be great. I listened to one of your interviews, and you talked about a sense of terroir with cigars, and then pairing it with bubbles.
Yep.
I know zero about cigars.
Okay. All right.
Help me out. Where should I start? What should I do?
Yeah. So, tobacco. Cigar production, very similar to wine production. It's very hands-on, very labor-intensive, takes space, needs to be aged, goes through fermentation.
Right.
Actually 7 fermentations to be exact for tobacco. So I see these parallels constantly as I learned about production with cigars. But it all goes back to the beginning of my time working on the floor at my family's restaurant in Evanston, Illinois, Oceanique restaurant, 847-864-3435. Got to plug it for Pops, otherwise he's going to be mad at me. But
of course.
There'd be nights where we just have a long night, just like in any other service, and you want to relax. And my first go-to to relax would be a glass of champagne. There were some times where my pops or someone would hand me a cigar, and then I started saying, you know what, actually, this is kind of nice. It's relaxing. I've never been a cigarette smoker, so I didn't really have a connection to tobacco before. But I love the olfactory. I love the ceremony of prepping a cigar and serving it to someone. I remember Googling a cigar sommelier and looking up YouTube videos. They used to do these sommelier classes in Cuba,
right,
where they would literally do a competition where you'd have sommeliers that would prep and pair and serve a cigar for guests having dinner, and they would pair it with their meal or at the end of their meal, whatever they are in the course. And so I guess, going back to your question about terroir, for me, Cuba is Burgundy. It is the most, I think, respectful, transparent way to translate terroir in a cigar. It's not really fair to Nicaragua or Dominican Republic, but I just personally prefer Cuban cigars because I find them to be more mild, more elegant, a little less on the like peppery side. Kind of like Oregon's Pinot Noir. It just has this beautiful balance to it, you know?
Right.
And it speaks to me. And so in terms of the pairing, you know, you've got graham cracker, you've got leather, you've got just earth like soil, you know, dry leaves, obviously, and some honey, you know, baking notes for sure. And then you've got the smoke, which is very intense, to say the least, right? Can be very intrusive. But I think the right cigar can be really balanced in that regard as well. But what I love with bubbles is you have this bright acidity, you have this texture that's fuzzy, and it kind of almost cleanses your palate as you take a sip. And so you've got this yin and yang of complete opposites. You got something weighty and heavy, chocolate, graham cracker in a cigar. And then you've got this champagne, which is like, you know, lemon, spree candy, and, you know, croissant. And you just like, they come together and you're like, holy shit, I have a chocolate croissant now. You know, it's the most epic pairing. I will also say there's another thing is that I love smoking cigars during the day, and even for breakfast. And traditional pairings with a cigar would be, you know, rum or whiskey. I can't do that in the morning. I can't have a couple pours and then get back to my day. But I can drink a glass of champagne and be very, very productive. But also, I get really thirsty when I smoke. So the last thing I want is to have to sip something when my palate is just completely just dry and needs to be refreshed. And the last thing I want to drink when I'm smoking a cigar is water, because it literally tastes like, you know, bong water essentially, which is not pretty. So a beautiful champagne, and I also say a beautiful rosé champagne is, in my opinion, the perfect pairing with a cigar from Cuba.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. I know, you know, I know nothing.
Yes, it's an amazing pairing. I think I remember trying it on a bunch of Psalms, and the ceremony of lighting a cigar for somebody is the epitome of, I think, respect for that person and just being able to take care of them and bathe them in love. And like, hey, all you have to do is literally put this thing in your mouth and take a puff of it. Right. I will prep everything. I will select a cigar for you. I'm going to pair it with the wines we're going to have. And we're going to get down to just connecting over the next hour and a half, or however long it takes you to finish your cigar. I love that component, because you put your phone down because you have to hold the cigar. Right. And your other hand is your wine glass. So you're focused on the moment. And it's cigar. I love the way it brings people together. It creates moments, and it forces you to focus on that moment.
Yeah, most definitely. Because of you, I think about 3 weeks ago, I was getting together with a buddy of mine. Okay. And I'm like, hey, do you know anything about cigars? And he's like, no. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to bring a couple cigars. And he's like, all right, let's do it. So I actually go into the cigar shop, and I tell, you know, the guy there, I'm like, all right, so I've heard that champagne pairs very well with cigars.
And he's like, no fucking way.
Well, his eyes just glazed over because I started talking wine, and I'm like, that's too much, isn't it? Yep. And he's like, no, it was fine. And you can just tell, it's like, okay, I lost you.
Most cigar folks are not wine folks. It's really fascinating. I've found that there's not a whole lot of crossover, but I'm doing my best to champion it, and I'm very proud that I inspired you to go in there and ask questions. That's the number one thing I tell people. If you don't know anything, go ask a professional. It's like going to a restaurant, not knowing a single wine on the wine list. Why don't you ask the professional there, you know?
Right, exactly.
Be vulnerable for once in your life.
Well, and just be curious.
Be curious, yes. Right. Yes, exactly. So I'm very proud that you did that, because my number one thing I'll tell people that want to learn about cigars is like, go into a cigar shop, ask them questions. If they don't take care of you the way that you want to be taken care of, go find another cigar shop. Just like if you were going to a wine shop and they don't take care of you, go find another wine shop.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
I can't. I don't. Yes, I completely agree.
Yes.
And talking about being the master of ceremony this week for IPNC.
I brought cigars, by the way, for IPNC.
Oh, nice.
I had to. I hope they allow smoking on campus. I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be, yeah. Well, it's a campus. There's got to be hideouts somewhere.
Hopefully.
Yes. It's kind of got to feel like kind of coming full circle, 2013, Pinot Camp, Maysara, and then just like kind of almost coming back home. I mean, what was your reaction when, the folks at IPNC like asked you to be master of ceremony?
Yeah. So Amy, I think she sent me an email asking if we could chat. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, they want me to volunteer at IPNC. I was like, great. Okay. I've always wanted to attend, but, I guess I can go work it. And she's like, oh, no, we want you to be the MC. I was like, oh, shit. Okay. Like, this is a whole nother level. So I don't know. I just assumed that, I wouldn't be in this position to, have this opportunity. But here we are, today's the beginning of I think just another magical moment in this journey that I've been able to have. So I was blown away by it. At first I was like, oh, let me check my calendar. But I was like, what am I doing? Yes, I'll be there. What am I doing checking my calendar? It's a year away. And she's asking me, like, I can't say no to Oregon, man. Like, so much love for the community here. And to be recognized is like, it just feels so special, like, I cannot wait to see everybody that I haven't seen in a long time, and just, say, hey, we did it, or we made it, or more importantly, just we're still here,
Right.
And can't wait to share that with all the folks that are visiting for IPNC. I hope that they get, at least an ounce of the love that has been offered to me by the community here. So can't wait to share that.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. It's going to be a killer weekend. It's going to be killer. Yeah. I got some rapid fire questions, and I'll do the reveal if that works.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. So, you don't do harvest anymore, but like when you're in the zone and you're working, who's your favorite artist to listen to?
Oh man. I was cranking out a proposal the other day, and I was listening to Tool, which was kind of out of left field, but there's some melodic stuff that kind of just helps me focus. But I honestly, I listen to Bad Bunny probably so much. I don't know what it is about him, but his first album just blew me away. And then I've just been enamored by him and everything that he touches and does, and how he's so outspoken for inclusivity and just, I think, personality, character, and people finding their own personal voice. I don't speak Spanish, so saying that he's one of my favorite artists right now is crazy. But I feel it in his voice. I feel it in what he's saying, that it means something special to me, for sure. So yeah, Bad Bunny.
All right, awesome. What is your favorite indulgent food?
Favorite indulgent food? Man, I mean,
I know it's difficult, and if you want to say skip it.
Honestly, caviar. I put it on everything I can. I love sharing it. I love the ceremony of sharing it. And I should be fully prefaced here. I put caviar in people's hands, and then we eat it directly. So we don't play around with other carbs or other flavors. You just eat good caviar, and you drink good bubbles. It's as simple as that.
I've seen the hits or the
yes,
bumps.
Yes, all day.
If you could choose a superpower, what would it be?
Oh man, I think flight. Man, flight is one of those things where you're just man, I'd love to see what it looks like from up there. I think flight superpower.
That's cool. Who is your favorite superhero?
Man, I'm a Batman guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Batman for sure. Yeah, it gives you it could be me, if I had, a
gazillion dollars.
Yeah, maybe I could be president too. But no, I think there's, kind of an admiration for being kind of the bad boy, good guy, at the same time, I like his swagger and his vibe. I like the dark kind of world, and
Yeah. No,
I always say that our wines are like the Batman of Champagne, like the Dark Knight. You
Right.
You didn't even know you needed us until we were there.
Right.
And then when you don't need us, it's fine. You can go and celebrate with somebody else, but
it's not the same.
we'll always be there for you.
Right. What was the last book that you read? Physically or audio or?
I do a lot of blog. I do a lot of like online reading rather than novels.
Okay.
I read a lot of car stuff. I'm a big car enthusiast and motorsport enthusiast. So last thing that I read cover to cover would be the Ferrari magazine Ferrari Quarterly.
Nice. That's awesome. Thank you. Shall I reveal some wines?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So wine number 1.
Wine number 1 it is from Oregon.
Okay.
It is Lytle Barnett.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hell yeah. I know it. Very cool. 15. Wow.
Yeah.
I think what I love about seeing these wines is just like, buy these wines and forget about them in your cellar. Like this wine in 5 to 10 more years is going to blow people away. They would never even know that this was a domestic wine if they drank it with 5 more years of age. I guarantee you.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
This next one, I stalked you a little bit.
Okay.
And so I brought a producer that you had.
Oh, yes. The Bedell. Entre ciel et terre. This is grower juice right here. Served it at my wedding, actually.
Exactly.
First wine I ever gifted my girlfriend, now wife, and fell in love with this wine as a young Somm, and it was different, Lignier based, and I liked being different. Loved how lush it was and accessible, young, but look at this, like,
right, and
it's creamy.
It is so creamy, and and having them side by side, just to see the color differences in them is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we actually got a chance to go to the winery and taste it with them a few years ago. That's we were talking about it on the way up here. It's like you're literally under someone's house in their basement tasting wine, Right. So that's really special. Thank you so much for tracking it down. I haven't tasted this in a while, and I only have a few left in my cellar, so I'm trying to be very trying to hide them under cases so I don't drink them too fast. But had you had this wine before?
I did taste it before.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when I tracked it down, yes, I tasted it.
Okay.
But I hadn't, not before that.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Thank you so much for your time, and this has been amazing. And, it's going to be a killer weekend.
I think so too. We've got quite a few bubbles. Like I said, I'm excited to bring Charles to IPNC, but more importantly, bring that love back that was shown to me from day one here. So, couldn't be more honored to support, to show up, and to celebrate. So, thank you so much, man. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.